Nice. Okay. Go. Zusu, GIMP, Indeed, and Traiano. Let's make some room on my desk. Okay. Not starting quite yet. First letting people know that I am streaming. I will go over some of the basics in the stream, and afterwards people can ask questions regarding this program. Should be said, there are still things I discover about GIMP once in a while. There are a lot of options. But yeah, this stream is mostly a thing for people who want to get started in digital media and are looking for a graphics program that they don't have to pay for, because GIMP is free. However, it has this reputation of not being the most user-friendly, which I don't quite understand. But also I'm biased because I'm using it for years at this point. And I think it's rather straightforward. Let me actually disable the chat window here on the side, and I will, once we start, go into full screen mode here. So you also see like pop-up windows and stuff like that, which otherwise wouldn't be visible. Yes, and Traiano, free and open source. Updates aren't that regular, but once in a while a new version comes out. It's also without any like subscription-based thing or something like this. What like every company does these days. That also means that it's in certain ways a little bit rougher, a little bit less polished than Photoshop, for example. But otherwise, you can do nearly everything you also can do with Photoshop. Although a few things might require one or two more steps. But yeah, we will look at that. Okay, giving people 1 or 2 more minutes before we start here, and then we're having a look at that, the basic tools and stuff like that. How to get started in the first place. By the way, for people who are interested, I'm currently putting together here these A4 sheets with postcards. Something for DinoCon maybe. Like we're having a bunch of different motifs. Going through my folder and selecting like a best of. I think we are nearly oh, I think we are over 200. What I put together so far. Oh, where is the upper one? Ah, there. Oh, that is, yeah. These are things one can probably expect at DynaCon if joining. Well, this is a stream I wanted to do for a while now. For one, to just help people in general with these things, and also like disperse a little bit the issues that some people have with GIMP. Like I saw yesterday, like people who know me will know I'm a spiteful creature. And I saw yesterday someone putting together like a YouTuber, a ranking of like free art software for beginners. And this is a screenshot. As you can see, GIMP is at the very bottom in its own tier, in its own GIMP tier. And I was like, what the fuck did you even try? So yeah, I cannot relate to this. However, let's get us started. However, watching videos like that, I did realize after a while, like why some people might have issues with GIMP. And that is that there are a lot of options when it comes to customizing. Indeed, casual soap munchers, this is GIMP slander, and I will not stand for it. Absolutely despicable. Yeah, no, but there are so many options, and it can be overwhelming. Although I also once looked into Blender and closed it after half an hour because I was completely like overrun with sub menus and stuff like that, and horrible. And compared to that, GIMP is like easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Like, and they didn't even put like, for me, like for some reason Blender is part of this tier list, but for some reason it's above GIMP still. It's like, the fuck. Blender isn't even a drawing program. The fuck you talking about? But let us get started indeed. Oh, Ness. Naz, shut up, you're French. Going here into full screen mode so you can see everything I'm doing. All the forbidden stuff too. But as you can see, all my menus are in German, but I will tell you what they should be called in English. If you download it, GIMP is available in quite a few languages. Up here at File, you have your usual stuff, like export, save, print, all that jazz, and at the very tippy top, create new file, where you then can have like different setups already that you want to choose from, like creating an A4 file, and it will just open like this, zoom in, and it will choose like as a color, if you don't tell it otherwise, your background color. You have here on the side your background color and your foreground color basically, and that is basics. You are like what usually is first showing up when you open a new file, unless you tell it to be transparent from the start. To create a new layer, you can simply go down here and click New Layer. You can say how big the layer is, if it is supposed to be transparent or anything, if it should be like marked as a different color, so you can better organize it. Ploink, put it down, and it's a transparent layer now in this size, which you can then work on. Something I should mention, I work on this with a graphics tablet right now with my mouse though. As GIMP is a rather old piece of software, the basis of it, it can sometimes have problems with like tablet compatibility. So it might not recognize the tablet immediately, but you can go into settings here, and there's a lot of different things. You can change also your shortcuts and stuff like that down here in folders. There's like folders for brushes and so on that you can put in. So it's also very modular when it comes to like putting in scripts and add-ons and all that jazz. For example, GIMP does not have like an autosave function in here, but you can install an add-on that does that. That is possible, and you can also here under additional devices put in your tablet, for example. So if you want that sweet pressure sensitivity as it gives me with my tablet, then you can do that. Also, something I wanted to bring up, because I learned about this only, I think 2 years ago or something. You can reduce very easily the size of your layer to its content. Usually, would think you go in with a crop tool here, this one up here. By the way, if you open GIMP new, you might not have all these different tools here, but you can go into the tools here and open additional tools that you can then add to your thingy here. But for this, I have this. You see, I have here the orange square I ploinked in. And now I want the layer to be only including what is actually on here. Like I want to get rid of all the transparency around it, and then I can go to layer, go all the way down here, and like crop to size of content. I think that's what that function is called in English. So now it's just this, which can make it much easier. For example, when you want to like turn something or so on, to have it like immediately like part of this, instead of like whoop, when I oopsala, nope, go away, Office Libre. Let me go back here. For example, when I turn it now, it's like that. However, let's actually have a look at this tool here. This is like your tool for turning stuff. You click on the layer you want to turn, and then you just turn it around. You can precisely tell it also here how much you want to turn it. You can also, however, go in here, click on the rotating point and move it where you want to have it, which can be very useful. Now it's moving on that axis. Going back, putting it on this. Let's go through here. Again, I made this square here using this tool up here. There are 4 selection tools, not 5 selection tools, sorry. In theory also this one, but I never use that. This was your usual rectangle thingy that you can use to create all sorts of rectangles. If you are not happy with this, like if you want like a precise ratio, you can do that here on the side. You can check this box to have it fixed ratios and then put in the ratios here that you would like to have. Like mine is usually 1:1 if I want a square, and then it makes a square. Also notice there is this grid on this square right now, and that you can change down here. That's usually if you're like planning out compositions and stuff. And I, for example, want to have a piece that is like following the rule of thirds. So I'm putting this on here and saying like, okay, I want to see if this still like fits my idea. Going down to rule of thirds, I'm clicking on here again and floop. You see it's now put into thirds. Can also go this into halves or golden ratio. It's also the thing, or diagonals, which can be helpful as well. But I go usually with fifth or thirds. But that's all optional. You can also use that round here, like I'm creating circles and stuff like that. And if you like put it here, like I'm creating a new layer, and then you can, for example, just use the fill tool and fill it up. On top of that, we have our usual lasso tool that you can just mark something with and click enter and you have it all. By the way, I don't use shortcuts much. I'm doing this all without shortcuts because I think it's more important that you see all the functionality and me actually clicking things instead of me just like hammering onto my keyboard. And I think this makes it more transparent what actually happens here. In general, I don't use many shortcuts. I'm not a big fan of that, maybe because I became accustomed to using computers in the first place relatively late for my generation. But yeah, you have now your circle here. But what if you only want one, like an empty circle? Well, you can do that too. You have, for example, here, you can do that in various ways, but now you have like your black circle, your black space, and now going in with the magic wand, selecting everything of that color. You can like sensitivity and stuff like that, how fuzzy you want to have the selection, stuff like that. You can do that all here. But what you can do now too is like go in here and you have all the selection and then right click, go to selection and then add a stroke. And now you can go in here and you can, I have it on millimeter. Let's go to pixels, 5 pixels. It has the selection on floop. And now you have like a stroke around here that is not filled, but you can fill it. Let's create a new layer, which you can do while it is selected. And let's go with red and just paint it in. You can also use a fill tool or anything you like, but now you have your red circle, for example, which then again, if it's too more convenient, reduces onto the layer size. And now you have your nice, clean graphical element. That is very helpful. Besides that, there's also, so the magic wand is like selecting everything of the same color that is basically like pixels that touch each other. With the next tool here, you select everything let me try this. For example, I have now here 2 reds. And now I'm going in, and with the magic wand, it's only selecting this. If I'm going in with this tool here, it's selecting everything of that color within that layer. So that can be very helpful if you want to like change the values of something or the color of something, or if it is all supposed to be that color. Like for example, I can now go here into colors, and for example, curves, go in and change its lightness. Or I can go in here or change its temperature, make it, which is a little bit hard because it's already very warm, but I can go down here, for example, to change its color completely when I go around. By the way, usually, I think there is an option for this, but usually your color palette will pop up in a separate window. It's not attached to your bar here. I'm very used to this at this point. Oh, why did it go away? But I know some people don't really like this. Totally fine. I think there's a way to attach it to your tools bar, but this is how I usually work with this. Okay. Next tools. Oh yeah, we should also say that when it comes to like these selection tools, you can not only like select something and then add something to it. You can also just get rid of something. Like I'm going down to this layer here now, and then I'm going Control Z. That is your universal shortcut for deleting something, and it's gone. Which is very helpful in many cases. To organize your canvas, you have also the guiding lines. You can grab them up here from your bars where you see like how big your canvas is. Floop, horizontal, or floop, the vertical ones. And you can here in what's this called? I forgot how it's called in English, but in this menu here you can like change how these are behaving. Like if you want to see it, if you want to see your guiding lines at all, floop, this way they are no longer visible. Or if you want layers to snap to them, like you can see now here it's snapping to them, which can be very helpful to organize stuff, especially if you work graphically, if you work on a poster or things like that, to have everything nice and clean aligned. You can create your wool grids, stuff like this. Speaking of grids, this is very important for us paleo artists when making size charts. You can create your grid with your guiding lines. By the way, if you want to get rid of your guiding lines, you can just like go with like the selection tool, this one here, click on it and move it away. Boop. Also something on this tool, you can either like have it to move guiding lines or layers you click on, or you can click the second option here and only moves layers that you have selected here in your layer composition, which is sometimes needed. Especially if you have a lot of layers and it's really hard to click on that one layer that you want to move, then having that selected so that you don't accidentally click on something else. Very helpful. Okay, what else would be needed here before we jump into another subject? Perspective. You can grab a layer and change its perspective. Like if I want to have like a wall that juts forward, for example, like this, can transform, and you have suddenly turns this rectangle into this shape, and you can now put in humans, for example, walking towards you. Yeah, stuff like that can be done, which is really, really helpful sometimes when you, especially if you like copy paste elements and want them in slightly different perspectives. I use this all the time on streams, stuff like this. When I create a lot of different animals, copy paste style for backgrounds, that is super helpful in these cases. But yeah, you of course have your normal eraser to get rid of stuff. It should be noted that sometimes you think, wait, why does it is it erasing with like the background color? And that can be the case when you don't have a transparent layer. Like, for example, I don't know if it's the case here. Yeah, for example, on the background layer is not a transparent layer. Then I can just right click on here and add an alpha channel. The alpha channel means that now this layer has the potential of transparency. And when I go in with my eraser, then there's nothing behind there, just this checkerboard layer that tells you nothing is there. Basically, it's the graphic shortcut for void, so to speak. Can also use the transform tool if you want to tweak things a little more organically, like move things around. You can also like change again, like the settings, how strong it's supposed to be. You can also like, this is like just moving pixels. This is, you can also enlarge things. You can make things smaller. You can turn things, stuff like that, to like tweak stuff into position if it's not quite fitting. You shouldn't do this too much usually, because like it affects the quality after a while. Like when I zoom in, you see like how it gets fuzzy at the edges and stuff like that. So don't rely on it too much. This is not a vector-based program where whatever you do to your layers, it will be always perfectly nice and crisp. That is not the case with something like this. You can also, instead of going in with your warp tool, you can go in with a smear tool. It can be used on top. Here it's supposed to be specifically fuzzy. And the nice thing is this is like also reacting to whatever brush you use. Like I'm using Chalk 3, which is like my go-to brush. But for example, what I like to do with when I draw animals that are scaly, for example, I don't necessarily paint the scales in, but I oftentimes put in a color scheme. Then I go on top of it, and then I make the edges between like different colors fuzzy like this, and that creates these nice scaly looking transitions that are very, very helpful to have. I don't think we have enough time to that I show you like how to create your own brushes, but that is also something you can do in here. And that is something, weirdly enough, that people have criticized about GIMP, that it is basically like you create your own brushes and stuff like that, which I think is super helpful actually. So instead of like a finished brush, you oftentimes get more like a toolbox of brush pieces that you can put together no matter you like. So instead of a Duplo, instead of a Playmobil set, you're getting a Lego set here to play with, which tickles me in just the right way oftentimes. And there are still things, as I said at the beginning, that I discover about this program, which is why we should probably jump over here to the brushes. So I have a custom brush here selected, but let's go to my go-to Chalk 3. Actually go on over to here and zoom in. And you can see when I paint with this, test is nice. Not quite, it gets a little bit more noise into your line work. That's why I like it. It's not super sterile like the usual round brush that you get. And what GIMP does is actually it shows you how brushes work. And when you begin to realize how brushes work, it becomes more easy to actually work with them. Because at the end of the day, these programs were never designed to be for art, which is up to this day. Although they all say they are art dedicated, there is not a real program that is dedicated to art. Otherwise, you wouldn't have systems like this. They're like the incentive in the industry to innovate truly is not there, because what we have works. Because at the end of the day, this is not a true brush. This is a glorified stamp. What a brush does every time you do something with it is it creates a stamp. But because these stamps are very close together, it can create the illusion of like an actual brush going through there. It becomes apparent when you use brushes like these, as you can download brush packages online to get more, because like the basic palette isn't that large in GIMP. It's a meme. There's the funny green pepper brush in here, and like this shows you nicely how the inventors of the system originally imagined this to be used, not for painting, but for stamping. Same with Photoshop. It works the same way, it just doesn't show you that. So you see all these different settings here, and some of these you will be familiar with, like size, for example. But also you can change here the ratio. Like now it's a very flat one, or the angle. Now it goes sideways, the whole thing. And you usually don't use this too much. At least I didn't at the beginning, but I'm more and more getting warmed up to all these options. Like it's something you don't really start with. You can also like go in with the fuzziness, how hard your brush is supposed to be. Like when you go down here, it's really blurry, the bell pepper. But also like these more, this is a brush that is probably not made for GIMP, because it's more of a stamp. You put this down and you have like this color splatter, but it doesn't give you a nice brush stroke when you work with it. Like, let's go back. But this is another thing that you will learn. For one, you can make this look better by simply, yes, it looks better if you have like a tablet with like pressure sensitivity, but also this here. This is distance between the different stamps. And if you decrease it, you get a more even thing in here. However, that looks still kind of repetitive. There's a few brushes you can get where this is already a thing, like this one here, Texture Hose 01, which is really nice, where you have like this. And then you just decrease the distance and you get a nice rough brush strokes with this that you can customize. You can also go the other direction. For example, if you want, I sometimes use this just going in with my usual chalk 3 and then change the ratio so I have the nice and flat like this. But then I also increase the distance, and now look at that. Now I have like these things. I can use this for petals or like leaves and stuff like that. But I can also randomize that even more by going down here and add jitter. And here I can increase like how much this wool thing jitters all over the place, which is really nice to create like more these random things, like or like to create sand. If I make a very small brush, go down here, and then I change color a little bit in here, and so on, and then you have like this noise. You can also have noise filters and stuff like that. This is all here in the filter tab. There's a lot of different filters you go in. Here's a different noise you can slap onto things, for example, or here is like to make things pixelated and or add like all sorts of things. There is many options. Let's go get rid of this again. No more jitter. And here at the side, you can see this little arrow in a circle. You can go back to your original settings with that. Also on this, and so we have our normal brush again. But as I mentioned, with some of these brushes, you run into the issue that this doesn't look so good. You can, however, still get a really nice brush stroke with that by going into another wool can of worms. That is this here, pressure, size. You can see that is my drawing dynamics. When I go in here, there's a bunch of options that I use. Let's open it like this. You can see here there is different ways in which the brush basically can behave. You can tell a brush, if I move like that, you should do these things. And it's a wool can of worms. But you can right click here and create a new drawing dynamic. And that gives you options to decide what your brush is supposed to do. But let's go back in here to our thingy, and I can go here to the side and see here that I can edit. This is a thing I put together. It's called color jitter. It's like basically the same thing as your usual settings, but with a little bit of stuff added onto it. But here I can go in, and it gives you this matrix, as it's called. And these are all these properties. And this is basically what these properties should react to. Like, should the, for example, here this is very simple. This is pressure, and this is opacity. And should pressure and opacity react to each other? So the lower the opacity, the lower the pressure, the lower the opacity is the thing. But here, for example, is also degree. To what degree, like, the brush is supposed to turn. And there is here on the side the option random. So we go here, random degree, and you can see already when I go over here, it's doing all these cool things. It's no longer stamping really, because the brush is turning as we move it. And that way we can, and when we then combine that with like making it like the distance between the different stems shorter and so on, we get much more of this painterly stuff in here. Let's go with this one. It's a very large brush. You can see here, nice how I get these rough textures in. Or like, let's go with this. This is a sponge brush, and now the sponge brush is really working suddenly. Beforehand, it would have been. It becomes very quickly apparent how repetitive the texture is, and that is something that stuff like Photoshop and so on does automatically. But here you can customize these things. You just need to know how. Unfortunately, because it's a open source program, it doesn't tell you immediately. There are tons of tutorials online, but yeah, the software doesn't tell you right away. And then you can go in with stuff like here, for example, like now I'm making it all nice and soft and fuzzy with the smear tool. Again, this all all these things like carry over to other drawing tools like the smear tool, or even like the eraser is also doing this now. So you have all these different options for color dynamics and distance and stuff like that in all these drawing related things, which is really powerful, to say the least. Also down here, you can, which is quite nice, this part here. Let's actually go all the way back again. You sometimes don't have the most steady of hands to draw something really precise. But doesn't mean you need to like go in with like line tools or stuff. By the way, there is no dedicated line tool. But if you want to make a straight line, you just press down Shift, or like make a point, press Shift, and you can boop, 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 do that. Very helpful. Just to mention it, I don't use it that much because it's, well, I work with organic shapes usually. But just to mention that, also an option. Where was I? I lost my train of thought, didn't I? Ah, yes. Now you put down your color. And you want to influence that color. Let's put like yellow on top here. A little bit of mustard. And you want this color to shine through the red underneath. You can go in simply with a different opacity, like up here, you can change your opacity like this, but maybe you want to you want the color underneath to react to the yellow above. And this is where modes come in. Layer modes and brush modes. Up here, you have it on normal right now. However, when I change it, and I open this and you see all these different options here, just experiment with that if you want. But for example, let's go with this. This is now this is a brush mode where it lightens the color. Doesn't quite work because I'm on a different layer now. But if I go down here and directly draw on top, you see, it lightens the red up towards the yellow. Or if I go with this here Abwedel, I'm never sure what it's called in English, but it makes, you see, it like begins to burn it out, basically. And you can do this with, let's go in with a green, for example, and you'll see how it like, if you do this long enough, you basically get to white with that mode. On the other hand, multiply, for example, multiply, very helpful, multiplies with the color you chose and the color you want to affect until it basically goes down to black or close to black. With this. These are lots of things, but let's maybe make this all now green with like the lighten up option, and part of it make it blue. You see also like this, because white is the lightest of the colors, it does not affect that. It only like it only affects when I choose, like for example, when I go in with black and have it on the mode on lighten only, it doesn't do anything to things that are lighter. It only goes up to the point where you need it to. Like if I go in with this light pink, it does things to it. But if I go in with a very dark red, it does nearly nothing. Does a little bit to the blue because they are very far apart. But yeah, that is a very nice thing to know when you paint something and you only want to affect certain colors. You see me do it quite often on stream, where I have like still like let's do like here line work of an animal showing through, and I colored everything in and stuff, and I don't want to just go in and like carefully get rid of all these little things still looking through my painterly stuff. So I just go in, choose a color that is lighter than like basically the same value as the paint, as a skin I put on there, and then I go in, and it doesn't even need to be much oftentimes, but that way I get rid of unnecessary visibly line work, or at least like reduce how much it shines through, which can help a lot to make a piece come more together. Like if you have these little black spots still come through that can like detract the eye and stuff like that. But yeah, but this is all what you do with your brush. You can also do this with your layers, because your layers have the same modes. You can go in and say, oh, this is supposed to erase. So everything that this layer now like has color on, everything underneath is erased. I can go in with lighten up. Everything is now lightened up. I can go with only darken, multiply, stuff like this. I can also just duplicate my layers here to increase the effect, or like work again with the opacity. Like get rid of a few here. I can use the opacity to heighten or increase or decrease the effect. All that jazz, which is super cool. If you don't want your stuff to like affect all the layers below it, you can get around that by creating layer groups. Here next to your create new layer, you have create new layer group, bloop, with one click. You just take your layer and ploink it in here. And now it only affects stuff that is also in this group. Unless you click on your layer group and also change the mode of it. Because the layer group also has all these options. And so you can like have these different layers of like how colors affect each other. Which can get a little bit over overly complicated at some point because there are so many layers at some point. Like I have some files with like over 100 layers or so, with all sorts of effects and so on going around. But yeah, that can help you a lot to achieve certain effects you want to get to. Other important things. Let's see. Ooh, this tool here, I completely underestimated. I didn't know how to use for a long time. This is cloning. Again, it works with the same things as all the other drawing things. And you see now a little thing next to my cursor that says it doesn't work. Like I can click, nothing is happening. However, I can go in here. Let's maybe go in with a normal thingy and like just put in some lines here. Now the cloning tool again, it doesn't do anything. But then I hold Control, I click on something where I want to clone something, and you see the circle up here stays. I go down and I want to have it down here too. And then I just begin to paint. And it puts it in here again. And you see up there how it moves around until I let loose, and it's back here again. And I can put another part of this down here. It's a very easy way to have like multiple elements very quickly and painterly duplicated. You can also, if you want to duplicate something, use your selection tool, enter, and then Control C, Control V, copy paste basically, and then you have that thing on a separate layer. But that is you get the idea. That is basic stuff. But I want to mention it anyway because not everybody necessarily knows that. Let me think. There are more things. There's of course your basic text tool and stuff, but yeah, a bunch of different fonts you can choose from, but that is not that important. Thinking. Any other important stuff I should talk about to get someone started? Ooh, maybe interesting. That is something you don't get at the start. You have to look into your tool box, basically, what else is in there. But this is a symmetry tool. We have a symmetry tool. Here, for example, I go to mirror and I can put in vertical symmetry. That is now here. Let me put here, and I can move it to like where I want the axis to be, and then I go in with a brush and I have symmetrical paint brushes going on, which can be fun. I rarely use it, but if you want to do something really symmetrical, then that is totally fine. I usually just go in like you can also like work with where is it? Is it doing? No, it's not doing it. How do I do this again? Max, no. Nah, doesn't matter. Getting rid of it. I usually just go in with like painting something, then copy paste, selecting it and then going in with the mirror tool, floop, on a separate layer and then put it like that. I like this more. Although if you do it with the mirror tool, you might have a little bit more control over like some things. But yeah. Besides that, there's also an airbrush tool, but I rarely use that. Ooh, this is something I should probably mention here. That is the gradient tool. Let's make a new layer here. I can make gradients with this. Let me zoom out. Let's go with a deep blue one on 100% opacity. Flip. You can see here it goes from at the beginning it's 100% and then goes down. I can like change, so you see the point here on this line. You can change how abrupt this gradient is supposed to be. You can also change the form of the gradient. For example, I have linear now. If I go bilinear, I have something that goes both directions. Can also go, let's move this down. I can also at any point like move these start and end points. I can make it circle. What else? There's a few more in here. Square is an option, and oh, there's a spiral. I basically never use a spiral. It's like, why would you even? Yeah, this is like some fancy stuff that it's more for graphic designers. But yeah, that is an option. But again, you also have up here all the different modes which you can use to influence the layers below. And then you can put it onto a gradient and like influence everything below that. Or like that is, for example, how you can have like an gradient, like this smoothly erased stuff. And if you don't want this to affect all the layers, you can either like put it into like a layer group again, or you fuse layers together with this option here. And now it's only affected the text layer, which is now partially transparent. But yeah, that is all the cool things you can do with these basic tools. Let me see. There's of course the scaling tool. Usual stuff. That you can also play around a little bit, like scaling from the middle of a layer, for example, or like have it free transform so that you can change the ratio and things. And oh yeah, here's this is an what's it called, a pencil tool, not a brush tool, but it's like harsher. As you can see, it's like has no fuzziness to it whatsoever. It's like if you want to have really precise line work and stuff, especially. I basically never use it. But yeah, color picker for picking up exactly what color you want and so on, which then pops up in here. But yeah, that is the basics of GIMP. I should mention one more thing. When you want to do stuff like size charts, I talked about that you can put on, like you can create your own grid using guiding lines. You can also in here turn on a grid. Floop. Let me zoom in. There's now a grid on here. And down here you can configure your grid. Like make it larger, for example, or move it around. Really, really helpful when you make a size chart. However, let me switch this off again. You can also create, because that is a virtual grid, that does not show up in your file when you print it or when you share it around online. That is only for you while you work in the file. If you want a grid, however, that shows up and you don't want to like construct one painfully from scratch, you go to filters, you create a new layer, go to filters, go down to render, and down here you have grid. You can change the color of the grid. You can change how wide the lines are supposed to be and how big the grid is supposed to be. You can also change like its ratio, like how what size the rectangles here are supposed to be. Yeah, that is very nifty when you look into creating size charts and so on. Just as something for like especially paleo artists important. But yeah, I think that is my part of the whole thing. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Sleepy Angie, Blender can be a drawing program or anything program if you try harder. That is true. Blender has a lot of different options for all sorts of things, but I still wouldn't call it like a drawing program, which makes it so weird to me that it's on this ranking in the first place. But here we are. Igor Lip, how do you imagine formation like the Jadoctor formation? Argues that is a little bit outside the scope of the stream right now. Sorry, and it would take a long time to answer. Yeah, the track nerd, exactly, just randomize the rotation, and it does it for you. Samsona, is this art class for computer? Not really. But I hope it will help some people to get this started. I see Rick has seen. The shape is unfortunate indeed. I didn't realize it when I painted that. You'll have to see it. But yeah. That is not true, Nath. Heresy. Iru, will this be a VOD to use as a reference? Yes, the VOD will stay on YouTube. I will probably also rename this and put it into a playlist. We have something for that. But yeah. If someone has still a question, or wants to see a particular feature again, or any of the features here that I didn't go over, like explained, I can do that. But yeah, is the easiest way to go into this is by just doing. Choose the subject, choose a project you want to tackle, and try. That is the best thing you can really do. I'm thinking, is there anything else that is important right now? Maybe I should mention stuff like the selection tool here. Something like this. If you want to get rid of the selection, you just click outside of it. If however, you can also add to selections. Like this is a normal thing up here where you just do this. And if you have another one here, then a new pops up. I can, however, also have one down and add another selection to it and another selection to it, and then have this. And then I can also subtract from that. So I have a void in the middle suddenly. And that can, I'm still on the grid layer. Floop. Now I have this shape suddenly. Or what does this do again? Oh no, this is something else. Floop. But yeah, and if you are like in this mode, you can't just click out of the selection, but you can simply also go like back to the simple selection and then click out of it, or right click selection and like disable. Like get rid of all selection. That can also sometimes happen that you are painting something and then you selected something and then you forgot about it, and then there's like by accident like 2 pixels or so somewhere selected, and you want to paint something and you can't, and you're wondering what the fuck, why can't I paint? And oftentimes turns out you have something somewhere selected, and therefore you just have to like unselect everything to be able to paint again. That is, although I think that's also a thing in Photoshop that can happen. Yep. Let's have a look on Discord, YouTube, and so on. Is there any questions so that have come up? But I don't think so. I hope few people at least got something out of this. But yeah, this would be little introduction to the GIMP for people who want to get into digital art, specifically digital paleo art. I will probably now put together something for vlogging later and turn off the stream. Okay, see you potentially later. Bye bye.